What is going on, you guys? Alex Chasen back here with a brand new video, and today let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs. They had quite the interesting offseason. Let's just start off with this. They got CP3. Chris Paul is a San Antonio Spur. We could make a whole video just on that because of how weird it is to say that. Chris Paul is a San Antonio Spur. Very interesting. Never thought I'd say that ever. But yes, he's on the Spurs working with Coach Pop. I love it. All right, let's continue. They get Harrison Barnes in the three-team trade where DeMar DeRozan goes to the Kings. The Bulls obviously involved in that one, and the Kings send Harrison Barnes to San Antonio, finally offloading the very mid, at least in Sacramento, the very mid Harrison Barnes, at least the last few years in Sacramento. So they get two veterans right there, CP3, Harrison Barnes. In my opinion, we have to see it play out on an NBA court in true NBA games. But Steven Castle, 4th overall pick. I love that pick for the Spurs. And let's not forget, they have a man named Victor Wembanyama, who in my opinion, and probably the opinion of most people watching this, will become a top 10 player in the NBA this season. So in today's video, let's just talk about the San Antonio Spurs and think about what is the peak of what they can do this season. Are they a playoff team? Are they a play-in team? Or are they still out of that play-in? Last season, 14th seed, 22-60, got the 4th overall pick. They were bad. But there were many, many bright sides to last season. Of course, number one, Victor Wembanyama looked like he is only one step away of becoming a superstar, and he was just a rookie. If he wasn't a rookie, he probably could have been a little closer in that running for Depoy. I know it went to Rudy Gobert, but if he wasn't a rookie and he was on a better team, that award could have gone to Victor Wembanyama. But let's talk about what the Spurs rotation is looking like coming into this season. So their starting five looks like Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, or Keldon Johnson. We're going to have to see how that one plays out. In my opinion, I'm putting Keldon Johnson in the starting five. I think he's way better than what Harrison Barnes can provide right now. But if they want that veteran presence around, Wembanyama in that starting five, maybe they put Harrison Barnes in there. But let's just go Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, or Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sohan, and then Victor Wembanyama. Or you could do a lineup of Harrison Barnes at the 3, Keldon Johnson at the 4, vice versa. Would be a little undersized, but you could do something like that as well. This team looks pretty darn good for just a level up compared to last year. So, in a very packed Western Conference, is this a playoff team? Absolutely not. They are not going to be getting one of the top 6 seeds. We would have to see, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago CP3 for that to happen. Let's not forget that CP3 is coming off a season where he averaged 10, 7, and 4, shot the ball okay, but it was just a very awkward season for CP3. I think we all thought, why would he go to the Warriors? It's such a weird destination for Chris Paul. And it turned out to be a very weird destination for Chris Paul. But he now has the opportunity to be a starting point guard in this league once again. I think Tre Jones is a fantastic sixth man. The whole thing's a little weird because if you're Coach Popovich, I thought he would have retired a few years ago, before he had to deal with all this, rebuilding stuff. But either way, he's in it. He's got Victor Wembanyama to work with. He's in this thing now. He's riding with it. But if I'm Coach Pop, what direction do I want to do? I have, 2-3 years of coaching left, if that. The man's in his 70s. I don't know how much more he has left in him, especially how bad they play. It's that's a lot of stress for a coach. And especially how used to winning you are for Coach Popovich. It's not very easy to go through years like this. But either way, what direction do you want to go with? Do you want to go with Tre Jones, continue to start him, or do you want to bring the veteran in and have him start around Victor Wembanyama? If I'm Coach Pop, I'm trying to put that veteran in around Wembanyama, continue to teach Wembanyama the game, but now you're teaching it from a point guard's perspective in CP3. It's only going to help Wembanyama's game blossom into something we've never even seen before, continuing. So I don't think you can go wrong either way, but if I'm Coach Pop, I want to try to win. He's never been, I want to lose coach. He's I want to win coach. I'm starting CP3, and this man could average damn near 10 assists. He could average 10 and 10 because he can just do that pick and roll action with Wembanyama, or pick and pop because he can shoot with Victor Wembanyama, or you can do that, drive and kick action with Vassell, Keldon Johnson. There is endless limits to what this team can run now with a true point guard with CP3. Coming into this offseason, and even last year, we were like, the Spurs need a true point guard. Tre Jones is good, but he's a sixth man. He's not a starting point guard. They get CP3, who at this point in his career is more of a sixth man, but he's light years, smarter and, better on the court than a Tre Jones. So I understand why they brought him in, and it's just good to have that veteran presence in there. I still think it's a little weird, but I understand what the Spurs are trying to do to kind of aid in Wembanyama's growth as an overall player. But my point is, they were missing that point guard role to, take a bolster up in their rotation. We thought about DeJounte Murray. That was in rumors before he got traded to the Pelicans. Was there an opportunity to get reunited with Coach Pop and the Spurs? That was up in the air. Trae Young has been constantly in rumors. Nothing really official, but there were little bit rumors of, DeJounte Murray, Trae Young. But ultimately, they filled that void with a much cheaper option, bringing in CP3 to run point guard for at least this season. He's obviously not the long-term answer. If I'm the Spurs, I would still love to try to get someone like Trae Young if that doesn't work down the line. Maybe if they suck again, draft someone else, or in the next few years, find another disgruntled point guard in this league to pair up with Wembanyama. That's the only downside I can really see, because the upsides are great. You get a great veteran presence in that locker room to teach not just Wembanyama, but also that entire young roster of great leadership and how to win basketball games. Of course, not championships, but Chris Paul, of course, is a legend of this game, and he can teach that locker room an amplitude of different things. But the downside is he's just not a long-term solution. And when you're a young team, you want to try to find that long-term solution to grow with this core, and CP3 is not that guy. Let's answer the question of, will they be a playoff team? Absolutely not. And then the second question, will they be a play-in team? It's going to be insanely hard to be a play-in team, in my opinion. This Western Conference is so deep. Let's just run through this real quick from last year's standings. They're not better than the Thunder. I mean, we can just laugh at these top six. They're not better than the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Wolves, the Clippers. That could be a discussion. I mean, they have a really, really interesting thing going on there. With Kawhi, who may not play many games, James Harden's not the same as James Harden. That could be a conversation. They might fall off these standings. But either way, I'm going to lean towards no. The Dallas Mavericks, absolutely not. The Suns, absolutely not. Going into these play-in teams from last year, the Pelicans, no. The Lakers, no. The Sacramento Kings, no. The Warriors, maybe. I'm not really huge on what they did this offseason. They did not enough, in my opinion. But then you go into a team, I made a video on this prior, that was not a playoff team, was not a play-in team last year because they were injured, the Memphis Grizzlies. But now with the Memphis Grizzlies back in action, they did just lose Gigi Jackson. He broke something recently, and he's going to miss the start of the season. That sucks, but overall, they are completely healthy, and they will shoot up these standings. And in my opinion, they will be, that 5th to 7th seed in those playoffs play-in. Maybe higher, we'll see, but they're definitely a playoff play-in team. That's another team that takes a slot of someone else. Now the Rockets, I think they're better than the Spurs. The Jazz, questionable. Trailblazers, absolutely not. I mean, we'll see how things go, but I don't think so. So yeah, I just don't think they're even a play-in team either. And that just really sucks because they are investing in the right now by bringing in CP3, Harrison Barnes. But in my opinion, if you look at it, maybe they're just investing in those guys to just kind of train the younger guys of this team. Because neither of them are great anymore. They're both solid. CP3, I think, is better at his position than Harrison Barnes is at his position, but either way, it doesn't matter. Now, if you see, of course, Wembanyama is he's going to be a superstar this season, but if you see another leap from Vassell, you see another leap from Keldon Johnson, Tre Jones off the bench, if you see continued leaps from this roster, Jeremy Sohan, maybe he takes another big leap in his career, you see major leaps from your young core, maybe it's a conversation to snag that 10th seed and knock off teams like the Warriors, knock off teams like the Rockets, knock off a team like the Jazz if they're hunting in there, knock off a team maybe like the Lakers if they're not as good and they're hunting in there as well. Or the Clippers, they're definitely going to be a team on the hunt. I think they're the most realistic team to be that 10th seed, if not less, because of where they are right now. So it's going to be extremely hard, in my opinion, for the Spurs to make the play-in, but a lot has to fall their way. They're young guys besides Wemby. I mean, he's going, no matter what, he is going to be a superstar. He is going to become a top 10 player in this game. So when I say young guys, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the other young guys on this team. They have to turn up this season. And on top of that, CP3 has to play pretty darn good he's got to play 70-plus games. And at his age, is he going to play 70-plus games? I don't know. He played 58 last year. A lot of question marks. So hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. And what is your take on the San Antonio Spurs? I will give a much better in-depth review of the San Antonio Spurs as we get a little bit into the season, because as of right now, it's the dead period of the offseason. And I was like, you know what? Let's talk about the Spurs today. They had such an interesting offseason. I'm very intrigued of what they did this offseason. I like their draft. I like their free agency. But will it equate to immediate success? I don't think so in such a deep Western Conference. But on the bright side, Wemby, he is going to be a superstar this season, and he is going to prove to the league that he is already a top 10 player. I'll see you guys very soon, and like always, peace out.